to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast here in Australia. I hope wherever you are in this amazing globe of ours that you've had a fantastic and enlightening last 7 days. I know it's really hard during the middle of a pandemic to try and keep upbeat and positive and find something exciting to get out of bed for and something to smile for and something to be thankful for. But I do try each and every day when my feet hit the floor to try and find something positive in the world that I can look and enjoy or have a giggle with or sing along to. I try and keep a very positive outlook no matter how bleak the day may look, whether it's, dark and grey and rainy outside as it is here at the moment, or whether it's just that's what, you find when you pop on the news that everything seems to be bleak and nothing seems to be improving. We are all part of this amazing planet, and we all do have to try and do our little bit to try and stay positive and keep the people that are around us in some sort of positive fashion, because smiling and being positive is actually infectious. It makes other people stop and think, gee, maybe I should put a smile on my face. Maybe I do have something to be happy and excited about, even though everything in my life seems to be going the other way. And the more of us that can smile and be positive, I think the more we can bring a more positive energy flowing through the world. And I think that's really important at this time. More than ever, we need to get this positive energy flowing and a smile sort of becoming infectious. Imagine we're at a rock concert and one person puts their arms up to do the Mexican wave, and then before you know it, the whole theatre, the whole stadium is filled with everybody following suit. Well, let's think that we're doing the same thing with a smile today. I think that's really important this week. So this week I've drawn the Simply Tarot card of the week. It's the Knight of Wands. Now, in all my years of teaching, probably one of the biggest questions I got asked from my students is, Amanda, how on earth do I relate a court card, a page, a knight, a king or a queen into a reading? Well, there's one simple and hard and fast rule. All court cards do represent people. 9 times out of 10, it is usually the secondary meaning, which is what is important in your reading. I'm not saying that we don't from time to time have people turn up in our readings, or, if we have children, our children, no matter what age, will always be knights and pages. Knights for young men, pages for young women. Technically speaking, a knight is a young man up to the age of 25. In this instance, it's the Knight of Wands. So it would be somebody with green to hazily coloured eyes, light brown hair, red hair, blonde hair, someone that's sort of not particularly platinum blonde and blue-eyed, but the next shade or two up. So the secondary meaning of this card is important letter. Now, in this day and age where we have so many different forms of communication, this is any written form of communication, whether it be a text message, a message on some sort of device that is typed, or whether it's an email, or whether it's just an old-fashioned snail mail letter. It's something that's written that we can read, something that we can look at. Not necessarily is it of solid form, but it is, well, I suppose it is. If you're picking up and reading your cell phone, that's a solid implement, that, a piece of equipment that you're using. And the same with a tablet or an iPad or your laptop or your computer, and you're reading an email, you're still reading it on a solid form. So it's an important letter coming this week. So I want everybody to be aware. Important doesn't necessarily mean official. It's just an important letter or information that's coming to you that's going to make your world maybe a little bit brighter than what it was. So we've got some interesting things to talk about this week astrologically, but I just want to touch first off. I have been inundated in the last 10 or so days with people asking me my opinion on vaccinations. Now, look, I want to be very clear. I'm not a medical person. I'm not a doctor. And any advice that you take in this form must be considered with your medical practitioner. Vaccinations are a very personal thing. Some people believe in them, some people don't. Now, it's not my place to tell you what to do or what not to do. Can I suggest what I've been suggesting to people as I've been answering them all week, is that you have to look at everything. Do your research, read everything that you can find. Look at every news article that you can find. Do your due diligence, whether that be on some form of social media or just asking questions or looking at things, and then take out of it the information that feels right to you. Not everything that's being shared with you will sit right with you. So anything that doesn't sit right, discard it. Anything that you feel comfortable with, say, okay, I can relate to that. That feels right for me. And then start to make your decision that way. I had a lady yesterday on the phone who's been a regular client of mine for over 20 years in tears, sort of saying, but I don't know what to do, Amanda. You know, one part of me saying I should, the other part of me saying I shouldn't. And I said to her exactly the same piece of information. I said, the way that I've come to equate this is we had polio in the world in the early part of my lifetime. Now, if we hadn't discovered a vaccine for that, there would be an awful lot less people living on the planet today and a lot more people that would have been inflicted by it. So I'm looking at this as our modern day polio epidemic. I know that they're completely different, but that was how I rationalised it. Now, there'll be some people that'll be for a particular vaccine and there'll be other people that won't touch it with a barge pole. Again, it's about doing your own research, what feels right to you, looking at your risk versus, ratio of, what does it mean if I don't get vaccinated? If I don't feel comfortable with it because of a medical reason, then please, I implore you to go to your doctor and have a lengthy chat with them about the pros and cons and the reasons why or why not that it's right for you. If you do that, then I think that you're then honouring what is right for yourself and doing what you believe is right for you. There is no one rule fits all. And I think that's the thing to be very careful of. As you know, the COVID cases are climbing again around the world with the new Delta strain. And then I heard something about another updated version of the Delta strain. I think it's putting a lot of fear out there and people are starting to panic and think, oh my goodness, maybe I better go and get a vaccination without doing their due diligence and looking at what is the right answer for them. There is many choices out there now for vaccinations. There's many choices that you can make that fit comfortably within your wheelhouse of what your body can handle or not handle. And at the end of the day, none of us should sit in judgment at somebody that's been vaccinated or somebody that has not. That is their right as a human being to make that choice for them and their own body. And I think that should be the way to go. For me, I have researched it and I've listened and I've looked at a lot of many different things. And, I really have done my research on it. So when I make my informed decision on the choice that I'm going to make, I will be able to make that with a clear conscience, knowing that I have made the right decision for me. And that's what I think everybody needs to be able to get to. So that takes us to our astrology section of the week. And at the moment, we've got the planet Mercury, which is sitting in Leo. So the planet Mercury sitting in Leo is about everybody wanting to get out there and get on the centre stage and listen and be heard. And I've got the most important message to say, and everybody should look at me and everybody should listen to me. And it seems like a little bit of overload like that in the last week. There's just been so much in the media that we've had to contend with, from climate change to Delta to politics to this to that and the other, and you just want to throw a brick at the telly, I know. But we all have to sort of look at this and saying they're all sort of out there beating their own drum, trying to get our attention, trying to make more noise or get more attention than the person previously. Now, this is sitting in direct opposition to Jupiter in Aquarius. Now, when we talk about something sitting in opposition, it is directly opposite. So it's like one side of the room to the other. Now, when you have the planet Jupiter involved, Jupiter's the planet of expansion, luck, and opportunity. Now, it's sitting in Aquarius. Now, anything that sits in Aquarius is asking us to think outside the square, is asking us to sort of not necessarily do everything the way that we did last week or the year before or the way that's normal. Have another look at it. Is there a better solution? Is there another way of handling this? Are we missing something? Now, the fact that Jupiter is going retrograde or still going backwards at the moment and will be for most of this year, it's not that it's taking the energy away from Jupiter. It's just asking us to maybe double down a little bit more and maybe look at it not just twice, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 times until we really make sure that we've covered all the bases before we make a decision. So I think it's interesting that we've got this opposition when, everybody seems to be feeling like they're in overload, and also with, huge increase in my inbox of people asking me about vaccinations. I took that as a positive thing, that people are questioning. People are sort of saying, okay, this might have been my opinion at the very beginning of a vaccine being launched, and maybe it wasn't for me, but now hang on a minute, maybe I'm thinking and looking at this a different way. And yes, it is because we've got some stronger variants, or maybe they're just feeling more comfortable with the information that's been shared with them on a political front and a medical front. And I mean, at the end of the day, science is science. It doesn't matter who goes out there and does the best marketing campaign for which product we should have, or which jab we should have, or whether we shouldn't have a jab. At the end of the day, it's about the truth. It's about the facts. It's about the information and the way that you look at it. Now, we also have a real plethora of information happening in Virgo at the moment. It's like everything's in an earth sign at the moment. And no wonder when we've got so much planetary configuration in Virgo, are we looking at our physical health? Because that's what Virgo rules, is the physical health of, looking at our diet, our lifestyle, things that are important to us, and vaccines do come under that category. So we've got Mars in the early stage of Virgo sort of saying everybody's got to start to look at their own lifestyle and their diet and their health and what's right for them and what's not right for them. And is it time to change medication? Do I need a different doctor? All those things can be coming under the microscope at the moment. We also have the moon, the emotional planet, which will only sit here for 2.5 days, is conjunct or holding hands the part of fortune. Now, the part of fortune's not where we're going to find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but it's how we're going to find our own fortune or feel fortunate within ourselves. Now, again, I feel this adds weight to the vaccine debate, where it's sort of emotionally asking us to dig deep. It's asking us to be truthful with ourselves, not necessarily go along with everybody else and follow the sheep. This is a question we have to ask ourselves. And when we've answered that question for ourselves, then we need to act upon our decision, whatever that may be, and not feel bullied or shamed into doing something that isn't technically right for us. I mean, I know that there's a major swing around the world at the moment for more and more people to uptake vaccines. I personally think it's a good thing. As I said, it's like our modern day polio epidemic, and we need to make choices and decisions that suit us. Finally, what I want to talk about with the energy in Virgo is Venus is in Virgo. So this is a time where not only are we looking to be physically more attractive and taking more care of our diet and our hygiene and sort of, questioning the food that we're putting in our mouths and any medications and things like that we're on, and we might take up a new exercise program. It's also asking us to be a little bit kinder to ourselves. It's the time when we can take a little bit of time, take a little bit of time out, have that bubble bath, sit on the couch and watch a movie. These are all things that make us beautiful people, because if we're not so stressed and we're rested and we're really able to just let ourselves be for the moment and catch our breath, that makes us a more beautiful person on the inside as well as the outside. We still have our favourites sitting in Pluto in Capricorn. Will be there till 2022, been there since 2008. I really do believe Pluto is trying to make each and every one of us sit up and take notice. If it's not about COVID, it's about climate change. For goodness sake, people, let's start getting on the bandwagon and beating our drum. Look at the fires and the floods that are happening in the Northern Hemisphere. These are in places that have never known such devastation. It isn't happening just by sheer and utter accident. This is one of Pluto's major roles, is to get us to look at climate changes, to get us to look at things through a different lens, and we as one person can make a difference. We've round up the astrology report this week with Uranus sitting in Taurus. Uranus is going to be there for another few years yet, but Uranus is asking us to look at the things that are important to us. How do we evaluate our day-to-day lives? What is personally important to me, whether it's my finances, how I live? Is there something there that can change? Is there something that I need to look at? Is it time that I opened my eyes and started having a better look at what's going on in the world around me? For whatever reason, we are all being asked to take personal responsibility to make some changes in our lives that will bring benefit to us. We're going to talk with Christine in Barrie in Ontario, Canada. Are you there, Christine?
Hi, I'm here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very, very welcome, sweetie. Do you have a question I can work with, Christine?
I was actually wondering in regards to my test. Actually, I have two questions. One is One is like bothering me the most is in regards to my board exam that is occurring in October. I'm wondering if everything will be okay the first time, or I should postpone the exam till April.
No, look, Christine, I
Okay.
don't think you should really delay the exam. I think by doing that, you're sort of already admitting defeat, that you sort of think, oh, maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I haven't absorbed enough.
Yeah.
Maybe I haven't studied hard enough. Darling, let's look at it this way. Let's go in October and give it the very, very best shot that you can do. And then if for some slight strange reason that you don't get the result that you want, then you've always got the backup plan of April. But I know you're going to do very well. I think the major part here, Christine, is the fact that you're allowing your emotions to dominate you, and it's a bit of fear, it's a bit of excitement, it's a bit of everything. And I think it's a very common thing that people make a mistake of when they're getting very close to a major exam like this. They forget that they're allowed to have some downtime, that, you can take an afternoon off and go for a walk in the park or go for a picnic, or, if you're allowed to, go and see a movie or do something that's going to break that circuit. It's really important, because if we constantly just go at the books, there gets a point where the mind can't absorb anymore, because we haven't allowed it to shut down. We haven't allowed it to diversify and look at something else. So I think study is a bit like a regiment. Like if you're going to work, you've got to be work by a certain time of the day. You're expected to be there for so many hours, and then you leave work and then your time's your own. You've got to set a similar sort of regiment like that with study. So many hours a day. And then, a day on the weekend, either completely off or, only studying for 3 hours. And then I've got the afternoons off and I go and do something with family and friends, or just take myself for a walk in the park. If you do that, you'll find then you will actually absorb a lot more than you would have by constantly sort of pushing yourself. And you've got to walk into the exam and say, I'm here. All as I can do is my best. And that's all I can expect.
Thank you so much.
And whatever that might be is the end result. So what's your second question, sweetie?
Second question is about love. I'm still waiting for a partner to come into my life, but it's been a while and I haven't met anybody that is of the same caliber, I guess. And I'm just wondering if it's ever going to happen for me.
That's a really interesting way of looking at it. Most people sort of ring up and they sort of say, oh, I haven't got someone in my life and da-da-da-da-da, and I'm lonely and I'm this and that and the other. You've made a very important statement. I haven't met anybody of my caliber. I want to give you a packet of gold stars. If more people were kind to themselves and looked at, not any old person will do, but I need the right person. I need the person that is going to enhance me, and I'm going to do the same for them. So sometimes, yes, that can seem to be a little bit more lonely than just having any person in your life filling up space. I know that there is someone coming. Look, I'd like to say it was tomorrow. I don't think it's quite that soon. At the moment, they're sort of showing me your focus has got to be on this exam. Now, that doesn't mean don't go out and have some fun, or don't open your heart up to accept love if it was to cross your path. What they're showing me is that's got to be the number one focus. Love's got to be second. But when love does come in, and I think it's sort of towards the end of this year, you've got a tall, dark-headed man coming in with a bit of a goofy-looking laugh about him, but he can be quite serious. He is very focused and determined young man, but there's a goofy, funny, sort of playful side to him as well. And I think that's really important, Christine, because you have an inability to laugh at things. You tend to be sort of so serious and so focused all the time. And what he's going to bring to your life is to show you sometimes it's okay to just be silly. That's a part of us that we need to honour as well, that we don't always have to be on the treadmill going somewhere. We'll get there quicker if we have a little bit of fun along the way. I really like him. I think he's going to bring out a more playful side in you. But at the same time, he's not going to limit or try and stop your dreams or anything like that. He would do nothing but encourage it, but he's just going to teach you how to relax a little bit, and I think that's a really good thing. I see this next one as becoming a very important, serious relationship, and he's just sort of coming towards the end of some major studies in his life. So even at the beginning of the relationship, time might be a little bit of a constraint there for both of you as you've got commitments like that need to be honoured, but his are sort of nearing the end where you've still got a little bit of time to go on yours. But that's okay because I think he's very understanding of that. But you also can see that he's worked very hard to get where he's going, and he's playful at the same time. I really like him. He's got very cheeky eyes.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all your answers. You actually brought tears to my eyes.
And that's very good, Christine, and I wish you well with your exams, and just keep an eye out for Mr. Cheeky. He's playful and innocent, but very mature at the same time. It's a lovely combination. You have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We're going to talk with Kaylee in Utica, Kentucky, USA, and I know I've pronounced that wrong. Kaylee, I apologise. How are you, Kaylee?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you, sweetie. Do you have a question I can answer for you, darling?
Yes. I was just wondering if you could tell me about my future, or if you could get any of my grandparents to talk to me.
Okay. Look, I can't guarantee I can bring your grandparents through in such a short time, Kaylee, but I'll certainly give you what they're giving me psychically. It's interesting because the first thing that they're showing me, it's like showing me a garden. Now, you might say to me, well, what's that got anything to do with my life? But what they're showing me is it's like you've planted seeds in the garden, and I'm going to use the analogy of flowers, and they're just starting to sprout. And a couple of them are a little bit taller than others. So I'm looking at these as ideas or situations in your life. In another month, 6 weeks, a lot of these flowers in your garden that they're showing me are going to be in full bloom or getting to the point of blooming. So I'm looking at there's many areas in your life now that where you've already planted the seeds, you've watered them, you've fed them, you've nurtured them, and now these things are going to start popping up and becoming more prominent in your life than what they were, because you've really done your homework, you've really put the energy and the effort into it. Have you just moved house, Kaylee, or have you made some changes with where you're living?
Yes, my fiance and I just bought a brand new house. It's our first house.
Oh, congratulations. How wonderful. Well, that must be a very exciting time then for the two of you, sort of as you set up home together. They were showing me that was the first part of this garden, you know, sort of like it was like we planted the seeds and they were sprouting, and the move was part of that. And it's now we're going to add on top of that. I actually sort of feel in the next 12 months, Kaylee, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see you go back to some form of study that will be work-related, that'll be connected with, you know, future career plans and things like that. I'm going to say to you, if there's nothing on the horizon today, don't be too upset about it. It will develop over time, and you will know exactly what I'm talking about, and it'll become sort of almost obsessive with you that I need to get this done. I really feel that this is what I need to do. Now, that's a good thing. I also sort of feel that for your fiance, there's a slight change of direction with the work that he's doing. So has there been talk about maybe a promotion or putting him into another role before Christmas?
Yeah, his work is actually supposed to be shutting down.
No, I see another job for him. And to me, it was sort of like taking the current job and moving it just slightly over there. And it's like it's putting it into a much more secure situation. So if the job itself was supposed to be shutting down, it may just be that the type of work that he's doing is going to be transferred to another company, and that's sort of where I've got that movement. But I know by as early as September, the answers to that and the direction with that will become very, very crystal clear, and we can start to sort of settle a lot more with that. So I wouldn't be too concerned about him not having employment, because there is a job there's no gap, what I'm seeing, you know, no gap in income there. So that's a good thing. Two of you getting married next year?
Yes, we will in June.
Yeah, right. I can see the wedding. But I'm also going to say to you, I don't know that it's going to be too long before you'll be starting a family.
Well,
was that
exciting.
On the horizon? Yeah, I mean, I hope that's on the horizon, because it's sort of like, you know, we've got the new job, you're doing some study, Then we've got the wedding, and then bingo, then there's, news of the pitter-patter of little feet. It's sort of like a very, very hectic 12, 18 months where so many things are just sort of happening one after the other. And I'm not saying any of it's bad. I'm just saying it's hectic. And it's like, wow, we've bought the house, we've done this, we've done that. And here I was focusing on adding to my career, and then the next thing we're married and we've got the baby on the way, and it's like, oh, well, no, it definitely wasn't a waste of time. Not that I see you going back to full-time work after the baby either, but what I'm saying is the study that you're doing is not a waste. It'll always come in handy somewhere. I actually see 3 children quite quickly, so I hope you were planning on that size family.
Yeah.
Like 3 in 4 years or 3 in 4.5 years or something. They're sort of 1, 2, 3. They're very quick. I'm not seeing multiple births. I'm just seeing 3 separate babies coming quite quickly. But look, you and your future husband really make great parents. You're really doing sort of well. I don't know that whether this is in the plan of things at the moment, and I don't normally like to go 5 or 6 years ahead, but they're showing me that your husband and you will form or open up or start a business in about 5 years' time. That'll be something that you'll gravitate towards together, and it's really, really positive. So don't look at everything that's going to come into your mind as a negative or a waste. No matter what you go and study or learn, there will be a reason for this, even if you can't see it in the short term. You know what I mean? Or you think, well, that was a waste of time. I've got a baby and, we're planning our family. It will still be beneficial to you in some way. Kaylee, all as I can do is wish you and your future husband every happiness. I know everything's going to be fantastic. The two of you make a great couple, and there's got to be always lots of laughter, sweetie. You don't take life too seriously. The two of you sometimes can get a bit too serious. We need to lighten things up a little bit. So that's where we're going to let. You're very welcome. That's where we're going to leave Kaylee. We've come to the end of the show again. I mean, half hour goes very, very quickly. So no matter what changes you've got coming up in your life at the moment, and many people are experiencing changes, some of them they're happy about, and others it seems as if they've been forced upon you, it is a time for each and every one of us to start really looking at our own personal lives, looking at what we're responsible for, what can we change, what do we need to do in our lives to make our lives a more settled, more comfortable journey ahead of us. And it's a time that we can't just sort of sit in the dark and say, I don't know. We've got to actively participate in life. And don't forget, no matter what your decision is as far as vaccines, stand firm. It's your choice, it's your body, it's your decision. But don't forget, we want to stamp this out like polio. So until next week, bye for now.